Welcome to the Business Chaser, your quick pour of strategy, clarity, and momentum. We skip the small talk and get straight to the strategy here in these bite-sized episodes. We're here to help you grow smarter, market better, and chase what matters, all in 15 minutes or less. I'm your host, Najar. Tune in and let's chat. Hello, welcome back to our Business Chaser segment. I'm so excited to be here solo with you today. I truly hope that you have been enjoying these episodes where each Business Chaser episode is going to be super impactful, super quick, bite-sized, and hopefully giving you some insight into not only my mind, but the experts that we have on here and the guests that we have as well. So I guess another thing that I want to mention about Business Chaser episodes before I get into our topic today is you're going to hear people either talk about an education-based topic on their expertise, or we're going to have some people who are going to share some adamant things that they are passionate about where you might not expect. So that's going to be super surprising as well, I think, when you hear some of these guests that we have coming up for you. They're going to talk maybe about something completely different. So make sure you tune in for all of those that are coming up. So again, thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of the good feedback we have had so far. I love all of the reviews. I am loving all of the reception. Thank you so much for how you're just excited that this podcast is in existence and you get to hear my voice on a weekly basis, I guess. I don't know, but it's awesome. So another thing I will say, and then I will promise I will get started, is I actually have been asking through my social media channels, either at Laura Najar on Instagram or at Business Over Cocktails on Instagram, any questions you want me to cover, any topics you want me to cover. Traditionally, again, the Business Chaser episodes can be educational, where I might come on here and talk about marketing, lead generation, things like that. A lot of times you can hear me talk about those things just on my social media profiles as well. So I encourage you to follow me there. Now, I asked my audience what questions they want to hear me cover or answer and things that you may not know about me. And I already have a list. So a lot of these Business Chaser episodes that are upcoming where I am solo, I will be answering those questions that you have given me. And that's what we're going to roll with. At any point, regardless if there's a guest that you want to hear more from, if there's something you want to hear more from me, if you want to ask me a question and create an episode on it, please, please, please send that to me because I want to create that for you. If there's a question you want to know more about me, if you want to hear that explanation, I am so happy to give you that information and want to truly give you that. So I have a notebook here and I'm going to just go off of this first question that I was asked. And I think that this is a very good topic and we'll probably get to our time limit here. So I'm probably not going to cover any of these other questions and they'll just wait for future episodes. So the first question I was asked by somebody in our community, what would you do differently if you were starting your business now? Oh, this is going to be a good one. So I don't know where to begin with this. I know that with a lot of the things I do in business now and the things that I execute on have come from confidence that I've had as a result of working towards that confidence. When I started my business, when I started this business, I will say, I started businesses beforehand. When I started this business, this wasn't my first business I was starting. What was the first business I ever did? An eBay business. So I was 19. I was a freshman in college. I can't put my finger on it. I think I just was really wanting to make money. And I don't know why or where. I didn't spend a lot of money when I was 19 years old. I actually saved a lot of money. I paid for my own college. My parents helped us, but I paid for my entire college. And I mean, then my mom passed away, my dad passed away while I was in college. So I really paid for my own college. But I had student loans and stuff, and those have since been paid off. But I can't put my finger on it as to why I just really wanted to make money. I think I just really wanted to make money just to have a lot of money. And I can't put my finger on it. I don't remember why. So, this was 19 years ago, so I don't really know. But I remember like it was so cool to start an eBay business. And again, like 19, 20 years ago, eBay was huge. Amazon was not what it was now. Amazon, I remember, was somewhere where you could get some cheaper college books. And so it wasn't always cheaper than like the bookstore at school. And then Amazon was just like a fixed price versus like eBay, you were bidding on things. So eBay was definitely way bigger than Amazon back then. A lot of people had eBay businesses. I remember there were areas or there were locations around here, even in Northwest Indiana, where they had, like, it was a brick and mortar location where you got to go there. It's almost like a consignment shop, but you were also like someone listed those things on eBay for you. So that was super interesting. I'm just trying to think. I truly think that with eBay business, so I started with selling my CDs. I don't own any CDs anymore. I sold some DVDs that I never opened, never watched. And then I started selling clothes that I didn't need anymore. And I probably made like $300 a month for a few months. I wasn't really consistent because of school and things like that. Then my mom passed away and a couple years into my college career. And so, yeah, like that was my first business. So again, eBay business. And then I got a job in banking, was making more money, went through cancer and all this other stuff. And then coming out of it, I started dating my husband in 2014. We got engaged in 2015. We actually started living together pretty quickly after we started dating. And then we got married in 2016 and we paid for our wedding all by ourselves. There was just this moment of like, I want to generate and make more money. And so that's when I kind of started getting back into like, okay, what are some side hustles I can start doing? And I started like on and off. I think I was doing eBay businesses for a while. And then I went into Herbalife. Herbalife was the first one. So I did Herbalife for a little bit. I didn't like the stock things that they wanted you to sell and like make phone calls and text people. And it just was not for me. That's not how I sell. I had some people sign up for it under me. So like I would make like $30 here and there, but it was just like nothing that I really was like crazy about. I wasn't really consistent with the products either. And then so from there, Beachbody was kind of taking off with their Shakeology, and then they had their online platform. And so I joined a team. I actually had a friend at the time who was doing Beachbody and was trying to get me to join. I'm like, no, I don't want to join you. I joined someone else that I just randomly met online. I think it just seemed like she was more successful at this point. And so I wanted to join her and learn from her. And while I also didn't like this business model at all, it was very hard to sell. It was like $100 to get like the Shakeology. It was like $70 some a month to continue with the subscription. And then like what they were teaching you is you had to message like 100 people a day, just cold messaging, like join, like, oh, I see you're on the health and fitness journey, blah, blah, blah. It was like so cringy. I remember doing that one time and my phone like would freeze or Instagram would be like, you're doing this too quickly. And I remember the people at Beachbody were like, no, you got to slow down. Like you still got to get 100 messages in a day. And I'm just like, this isn't a way to sell either. And I was also on my own like selling journey, like learning how to sell better. And I was getting certified how to have proper sales conversations in my corporate world. Like at the bank I worked at, they were renewing how we would do sales, and we would have to learn this like conversation, this format of way of selling. And it wasn't necessarily a script. It was just like literally like a format on how to have a conversation. And it honestly was such a game changer for me because it finally clicked for me that like whenever I would have sales in my career in banking, it would never be from a script. It would never be from how someone told me to sell. It would be from having a conversation with them. And so I feel like from that point, I realized that like I know how to find the need and I know how to talk to people. And that's when I would get like my biggest sales points would be like literally just like having a normal conversation with somebody and that's it. But on the other hand, I had to do it how the bank was telling me to do it. And it just felt so restrictive. And so I think like, again, like going back to like how I started and then all this learning that I learned from like my corporate career and like Beachbody. So like Beachbody actually, while I don't think I have a very positive experience, I had Shakeology for a really long time. I feel like I really tried to make it work, but just like everything about selling and like how they were doing things just really wasn't my style. And so I left that. I started doing like this wine, again, an MLM, but it was like a wine thing. I was 28 at the time. No, if I was, yeah, I was like 27, 28 trying to do that. I don't think I was married yet. But like each wine was like at least $20. And so like back when we're in our late 20s, like $20 is probably the most we would spend on wine. We were buying like, $5 bottles of wine, $10 bottles of wine, right? We weren't wine connoisseurs or anything by that mean. These bottles of wine were like $30, $40, $50, $60. Probably very good wine. But again, I was not the target demographic. My friends were not the target demographic. And so but through those channels, again, I learned how to sell better. And like, I learned my own way of how I like to do things, but I also learned social media strategy for selling through Beachbody. And it really gave me a quick lesson into, I understand how you can use social media for business. And so that started my wheels clicking. So I think, simultaneously, I was like, in this like push and pull, like tug of war with like, do I pursue my career? Because with banking, I moved up pretty quickly. Over the course of 5 years, I went from like teller, and while I went through all these tragic events, I went from teller to like sales associate to loan officer to assistant branch manager, all in a span of 5 years. And I worked my way up. I was very good at what I did. I was very good at sales, very good at coaching people. And so like I had this push and pull thing of like, maybe I can see my career in banking as well. Like maybe I can be a branch manager. But then like something happened where all of a sudden they transferred me to another branch without asking. I wasn't asked to be transferred. They knew I was moving to Chicago, so they wanted to move me. They didn't, whatever. But I didn't like who I worked for either. It was a very toxic environment, all the things. So I ended up being happy with the move because I loved my boss. I ended up loving her, and it was really hard when I finally left the bank. It was really hard to leave her, and I remember I was crying. But anyways, I just remember all the toxicity from like this bank, from working for this company, working for some of these people. It just really propelled me to like keep pushing to find something that really fulfilled me. And so I kept looking outside of maybe banking, and I'm like, okay, like what can I create? And so blogging, of course, again, was a big thing and has been a big thing for a really long time. And I think if I want to go back to like 2017, 2018, like people Pinterest was huge. Pinterest is still big, but I think Pinterest is different than it was almost, 8, 9 years ago. And I was like, okay, I can make money from blogging. And so I wanted to finally tell my story, and I created a blog of just telling my cancer story journey. And my goal was then to have guest bloggers come on and tell their stories of like trauma and things like that. Through building my blog, and I was very consistent with it, and meeting people and connecting with people just in the online space and random Facebook groups, I stumbled upon the coaching industry, business coaching. And I'm like, I think I like was aware of life coaches, but I was never fully aware of like business coaching. And I saw someone in a Facebook group that was posting, and they were posting an offer that to work with them for 12 months for a whole year, it was $30,000. And now to me, that seems like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's probably a little bit on the cheaper end as well. To work with someone for a full year, for full coaching for a full year, full calls, full consulting, whatever it is, full strategy, $30K. To me, that was mind blowing. I'm like, someone's going to pay you that much? Because at this point, I was like struggling to get people to pay $150 to join Beachbody or wine that was over $20. When I started getting into more and more in like the social media world with business and business coaching and all this stuff, I'm like, wow, these people can make a lot of money. And of course, I was drawn to that. But I think I was drawn to it in a way that's different than some people are drawn to. It's like, oh yeah, I want to make money overnight, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I that's not for me now, but I see the potential in doing that. So that was about like remember that was like spring. That was May 2018. And so I started to have my wheels turn again. And I'm like, ooh, okay, like maybe I am ready, but I don't know if I could be a business coach. I don't really know about like building a business, but I am very good at social media. And I actually started offering $50 audits for social media where I would like type up this whole thing, audit someone's Instagram, audit someone's blog, and I would charge $50 for it. And I think I sold like 4 of them just like on my own. And then I stumbled upon my first business coach and joined with her through the DMs, never had a sales call with her. My first investment was like $1,500. I was going to build a social media business. And that $1,500 was like so scary for me because I had that maybe in a savings. I don't know. I did something. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. I think I did a payment plan. So I joined that group program she had. And by the end of the group program, I was like, nope, I want to be a business coach. And I switched my mind and I worked with her for another 4 months. And so I started my journey as a business coach. And all I was doing, and this is, so to go back to the very first question of what this episode's about is what would you do differently if you were starting your business now? This is the moment. I loved and I still love her. I actually interviewed her to be on this podcast, so her episode will air eventually. But I loved this coach, and and then I again worked with her down the road. She helped me see things that I didn't even know about myself, and she guided me in a way that I didn't need more. I just needed to do, and I needed to do what worked for me. And so all I was doing was I was signing clients very easily by offering strategy sessions, closing them on the strategy session. And I was just posting to Facebook groups. I didn't really have an email list. I didn't have a website. I didn't have Instagram. I was just very active on Facebook and posting consistently in other Facebook groups and getting leads that way. So this is the moment. I stopped working with her. I was drawn to shiny object syndrome and thought I needed ads, email list. I hired someone else. That person had me create like a group program, do this like really crazy launch, more. I sold no group program things. I was just in that moment in my business, I think I was so new. I was just so like relaying to like the coach and like, tell me what I need and like, listening to everything that she told me to do. And when it wasn't working, I was a workhorse. I showed up, I had everything that she needed every single week and none of it was working. And so I think like her proof of concept didn't work as she wanted it to either. And she gave me some extra coaching sessions afterwards, but I was just burnt out by the end of it. Like I just stopped showing up. I was so burnt out. And then I didn't sign any clients for like a good 1.5 years. I focused on like a low cost membership. I was really scared to get back into business coaching. I also was training for the Chicago Marathon that year. So like that took up a lot of my time. But I like really took a pause from business. I didn't stop showing up. I definitely still had my low cost membership, but some of those months I was getting paid $25 a month and I still had my day job. So that was fine. But I went from like earning $5,000 in a matter of a couple of months to not making anything for a good 9-10 months. I would have little projects here and there. Then fast forward to 2020, I started to come back and I'm like, okay, I hired that one business coach again that I loved and joined her mastermind. And it was literally the best thing for me. Of course, COVID hit that year. But ever since then, I feel like 2020 almost was like a restart to my business. So like I say, I've been in business for 7 years. I'm not going to discount that. But really since 2020 has my trajectory just gone completely, like it keeps going up and in a very steady and secure way. I haven't hit burnout again. I haven't there's been stressful moments where I've had to okay, reset and redo things, but I've never needed major pivots. I've never needed to just stop my business altogether. She really honed it in that I need to do what's best for me whenever I need that. And I think that's the lesson here. So if I were to answer the question, what would you do differently if you were starting your business now? It would be to own my own specialty and what I bring to the table. It would be to do what works for me from day one. And I know that that's hard. I struggle with confidence. I struggled with confidence my whole life. I feel like maybe that's from low self-esteem or just like not good enough, like nothing is ever good enough. So I'm always chasing more and more and more. And so, now over the years, for 5 years now, I have been getting people results, amazing results. I've had clients that have come back. I have clients that have come back after years. I have countless referrals. My agency is built from referral only. I've had lots and lots and lots of opportunities just because of what I've been doing. I've been doing it so well within myself. Now I'm getting compliments. Literally, I went to an event last night and a guy that I've never met, knows me from social media, told me I'm one of the most confident women he's ever met in the online space. He met me in person last night for the first time. So I know I've been doing the work. So if there's anything that I can say from day one is that your knowledge is great. You have to work on that confidence piece and you have to understand what you bring to the table. That's going to be the biggest difference maker, and that's what's going to keep you going on the hard days. Hiring a mentor is so important. I stand by that. I love being people's mentors. I love having long-term mentors. I love having peers. I love having accountability partners. I love even learning from my clients. I'm constantly learning. But what I'm not going to do is hold someone's knowledge for me or advice for me as Bible and only follow that. I have to put that through my own filter. It's good to have a coach, but it's also good to have that coach that you can say, well, I don't want to do this. What's another way? And they can coach you to that. It's not one way, or it's not the coach's way or another way. It's your way. It's what you want to do. It is specifically for you only. So if I were to start my business all over again, I wish I had a better sense of self. And so that's the biggest thing I can say for you here is that I think that if there's any part in yourself or your business that you feel lost or you feel like you're just operating from whatever everyone else is telling you to do, I think that I would really want you to go back and just think of what it is that you do really well. What are the things that you specifically bring to the table, and just owning that confidence piece, because deep down, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You don't need anyone else to tell you differently. And that's my story. So if you have any questions, like I said at the beginning of this episode, if there are things that you want to know about me, about any of our guests, please send me a message either at Business Over Cocktails or at Lauren Najar on Instagram, and I will add this to the list, and we'll either touch base with our guests. If there's an expert or someone you want me to talk to, please let me know, and I will gladly schedule them. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Business Chaser on Business Over Cocktails. That's your quick hit of clarity and momentum for the week. If it sparked something, share it with a friend or tag us in your stories at Business Over Cocktails and or at Lauren Najar. We love seeing what resonates. Don't forget, Mondays are for full-length episodes with rich conversations, and Fridays are the Business Chaser episodes. These are bite-sized insights pulled from our guests to keep you inspired and aligned throughout the week. Do you have a question or a takeaway? DM us at Business Over Cocktails. We just might feature it in a future episode. Cheers!